Good evening. My name is Orianna Baham,
And I'm Danielle Streicher.
and we're doing a news report on rugby this evening. The sport of rugby is named after a rugby school in Warwickshire, England, where it originated. It is played on a field between two teams with 15 players on each team. Each game is 80 minutes long, split into two 40-minute halves. The ball can be carried or kicked, but can't be passed from one player to another. Players are divided into two main positions, forwards and backs. A player who is a forward usually concentrates on the defense, while back typically tries to score points.
The earliest known example of women playing rugby was in the 19th century in Ireland. Women's rugby started to become popular in the 1970s, and the first women's international rugby match was played in 1982. In 2000, the Women's Rugby League was established. Rugby is often defined as a masculine sport due to the demanding physical contact and routines. We interviewed a player on the women's and men's rugby team and asked them questions concerning their views and role sexuality plays in rugby. The players asked for confidentiality, so we have decided to recite the players' responses.
Hi, I'm Alex Hill, and I'll be interviewing the anonymous female rugby player. Are sexual relations between the two rugby teams considered taboo, or is it preferred?
Usually hookups and casual encounters are more well known to team members than actual relationships. I don't know how it is elsewhere, but I imagine that two people dating on the same team could cause problems. Everyone wants to keep personal drama off the field because you don't want to bring the whole team down.
Is homosexuality accepted on the women's rugby team?
There isn't a big gay population on the rugby team here, but I think that the general atmosphere of the team is an open one. I don't think any of the girls would care if any other people on the team were gay.
Is homosexuality accepted on the men's rugby team?
I'm not too sure, but I don't think it's as open a subject on the men's team as it is on the women's team.
Rugby is often viewed as a masculine sport, and women who play rugby can be seen as unfeminine. Does this affect the self-perception or identity of the players in any way?
On the team see themselves as going against the grain and breaking against social norms because rugby is considered masculine.
Do you think that rugby parties help to shape the experiences of rugby players just as much as the actual matches?
Well, rugby parties are a big part of rugby culture, even at the professional level. You feel a sense of connection and loyalty to your team when you're playing with them and when you're partying with them. So I think the two go hand in hand.
And this will be our male rugby player interview. Are sexual relations between the two rugby teams considered taboo, or is it preferred?
It's rather common to find members of the male and female rugby teams to have sexual relations.
And what are the general views on inviting non-rugby players to rugby parties? Are they more exclusive towards rugby players, or are they more open to the general public?
Almost all rugby social events are open to the public so long as they pitch in on the beer. However, rugby players are a certain breed of people who are distinct in character and certain traditions that come along with the territory of the rugby team. We almost always will be welcome to another rugby team's party. It is actually a tradition to party and drink with the other team after a game.
Homosexuality accepted on the women's rugby team?
I've seen it before on the women's rugby team, but it never really seemed out of place.
And what about on the men's rugby team?
I would like to say that if a gay man wanted to choose to be on the rugby team, he would be more than welcome, but they're a very joking crowd, so if you're easily offended by jokes about homosexuality, religion, sexuality, race, or anything that they can really think of, then it's not really for them.
Rugby is often viewed as a masculine sport, and women who play rugby can be seen as unfeminine. Does this affect the self-perception or identity of players in any way?
I've definitely seen some butch women play rugby, but I've met some women rugby players who are feminine and quite attractive. And I've seen both of them dish out bone-breaking injuries. So I think being a rugby player is definitely an effect on somebody's identity.